Um, and this is something, again, as part of that strategy that I think is really important, that has certainly influenced the way that I've thought about creating social change. It's a quote from Steve Jobs, who says, "Life can be so much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is that everything around you call life was made up by people who were no smarter than you, and you can change it, you can influence it, you can build your own things that other people can use."
And if you are entrepreneurial and you're entrepreneurial, go for it. You know, why not? So it's really weighing those things up and figuring out where you play best. You know, what works best for you? And that's ultimately my kind of question. Yeah, how do I help? How do I have social purpose in a way that's true to me? Don't feel all insecure. Don't look around at all these other people that are doing amazing stuff and think, oh, why didn't I do that? Or why can't I be that? Be you, and then do what works for you. If that means that you take your your accounting skills and you go and work in the accounting department of a not-for-profit initially, or in the case of my partner, Matt, who signed up to be one of the mentors, he was a physio who was really passionate about environmental stuff, and now he's ended up doing in business development for a clean tech startup. That was a whole story behind how he got from physio to there. But, it's working for him and he's really happy now. So, yeah, just always remember what gets you out of bed, what makes you happy. Use friends, lean on each other. Yeah.
This question is like just something that, we should all kind of keep in mind. Like, it's not about what can I do to help, but how can we work with people, like, to create prosperity for their families. And it's really about going alongside and journeying with the community to get to a solution that is localized, makes sense for that community, and then to help kind of empower them to get to that space.
I've had a look at campaign strategy, and by now I hope you have a really good idea of what a campaign strategy is, but I'm going to pivot more towards what I originally planned to present on, which is, I guess, a shift towards a digital strategy. So if a campaign strategy describes how the ends will be achieved by the means, then the digital strategy describes how the ends will be achieved by the digital means. And so you've been provided with the campaign strategy template, which gives you really solid, elaborate campaign to build upon, but the digital strategy focuses a lot more on the digital means to achieve everything within a campaign strategy.
This is the first thing. Know yourself and be honest with yourself. What can I actually design? That's the first way talking about yourself is relevant to designing an actual workshop. Because a lot of people just kind of, I'm sure you guys have seen it before, a lot of people just kind of put out stuff that they hope will land. So you've got to get really critical, work out what you know, and then you can start to design.
The structure that elevator pitches or pitches in general have are this one, and I find structure underlies really everything that we do in terms of pitching and storytelling. If you have a strong structure, it gives you something to build on. And a pitch structure, as you can see, is problem, solution, and result. So if I look at, actually we'll have a look at how we can translate this. So the problem is, how, and then we can tell people what the problem is. What we do is presents the solution, and this results in, gives us what the result of it is.
When you're fundraising, you need to be very ethical about the way you communicate. Where is the money going and who is the money helping? And if you get those wrong, you're shooting yourself in the foot as an organisation, because people do look into that now. As I said, as a charity, unfortunately, you are scrutinised for what you do. So being really ethical about the way that you do it is really important. But two other things that are important: ethical considerations in your campaign. The next one is branding, and your last one is audience. Who are you appealing to? And the thing about Oak Tree, I think someone was saying when I jumped back on, we are youth-led. So our audience is primarily people under 30. And I would say our main audience is university students.
I think the other thing to say is that, you know, you need a good finance and accounting base to actually allow for social and environmental impact. Like, you need to understand, like, a lot of it comes back to, you know, do you have a good budget? You know, how are you managing your expenses? How are you managing your revenue when it comes to more of a business sense? And, you know, like social enterprises, those who are particularly driving social, that are having an impact.
Again, as many of you picked up, governance is done by a board. So what is a board? Well, fundamentally, it's the governing body of an organisation. These can sometimes be known by other names, such as committees or councils. And the role of the board, which we'll go into in a bit more detail, is to provide purpose, leadership, direction, and overall strategy, as well as to ensure that the finances at the organisation are sound, operations are legal, this is a really key one, procedures work, and assets are safeguarded.
And so noticing those, especially in the social impact, because we all want to make good. We always want to do things for other people. We always want to try and be there for other people. We want to try and create that impact. But maybe it's also a good time now to start taking a step back and be like, have I actually done a lot of things for myself? Have I balanced out that level of sort of impact with looking after myself?
Yeah, so I think I've just learnt so much during this program, like about things that I had never even thought of. And I think just like watching how all of the different presenters presented their content in so like many different ways, and every week has been so different and so exciting. And I think like in the breakout rooms, I've really enjoyed like collaborating with everyone and discussing ideas and just learning from like the group as a whole. And I've really enjoyed getting to know everyone.
So I think I've mentioned this actually probably a few times now, but I think it's really important. And yeah, so I think going into this program, there's this like universal idea that to make an impact, it's very one way. So like you need to work in the not-for-profit sector. And the biggest thing for me has been this course has totally proved this statement like completely wrong, and taken this level, I guess, of stress and anxiety away from myself in thinking that I had to shift my career as a designer to, you know, an individual who leads change in that specific sector. And now, yeah, I guess I understand and feel more capable to make an impact in whatever sector I want. And all that, you know, I really need is that like passion and drive to make an impact. And yeah, that can just happen wherever you are if you're persistent and driven and supported enough.